Shavua Tov, and I guess happy Lag BaOmer. And Lag BaOmer is the 33rd day of the Omer. As we know, Lamed is 30 and Gimel is 3. So Lag spells 33. And I'm going to read a little bit about Lag BaOmer from the Jewish Book of Days, Companion for All Seasons by Rabbi Jill Hammer. And we have our bonfire going here in the center of our reading today. This is what Rabbi Hammer says. On the 18th of Iyar, the 33rd day of the Omer, is Lag BaOmer. Lag is the combination of the Hebrew letters adding to 33. This holiday comes in April or May at the time when spring is in full bloom. Jews celebrate Lag BaOmer with bonfires, dancing, archery contests, haircutting, and often with weddings, because this is the one rare day of the Omer where weddings are permitted. Tradition holds that this was the day a plague on the students of Rabbi Akiva ended, according to the Babylonian Talmud, and in one legend, it was the day that the sage Shimon Bar Yochai revealed the Zohar as he lay dying. Many Jews still make pilgrimage to Bar Yochai's grave in Meron on this day. They light bonfires to represent the sun, which did not set until the sage was finished with his revelation. Although Seder Olam claims that manna fell on the 15th of Iyar, Hatam Sofer, an 18th century German rabbi, believes that it is today that the manna first falls from heaven. Manna was said to have many tastes, just as Torah sounds somewhat different to all who hear it. The fall of manna, compared to milk from the divine breast, represents the feeding of heavenly wisdom to earthly creatures. So, on the day of Chod Shebe Chod, prophecy within prophecy, we honor many revelations of Lag BaOmer. And we're going to be releasing this video just as we're coming close to Lag BaOmer. So that's what our reading is going to be about today. Revelation. What's Revelation? And I'm going to try not to set everything on fire while I do this, but it is a bonfire, so here we are. I'm going to pull out some Hebrunes. We're just going to do a quick 6 Hebrune spread and see what the divine has to say for us today. All right, we're coming down from the top. We have the ayin. I'm going to zoom in and look at each of these letters in turn. Lower right corner is the place that represents what we know about our situation, and we have the letter Pei. On the lower left corner, we have the position that represents the unseen in our situation. We have the letter Kuf. At the bottom is the root cause, or what's coming up from the earth. For this situation, we have the Dalet. Upper left corner is going to be what is it that is our challenge or fear right now. We have Gimel. And in the upper right corner, we have advice for our situation. And we have the letter Resh. Okay, let's take a look at what all of this means. So starting at the very top, we have the letter Ayin. Now Ayin is, I'll bring it up close to the camera without again setting myself on fire. Ayin is the letter that represents an eye in the body. And it represents the divine watching over each of us as we move through the world. It is a silent letter. And so we must give it voice in order for it to be heard. It is the number 70 in Gematria, which is a completion number, 7 being the number of days of creation and 70 being 10 times that, so an ultimate completion number. And it is the foundation of laughter, as read in the Sefer Yetzirah, as translated by Rabbi Jill Hammer. So we have laughter here, which I love with regards to this. As we come to a completion of whatever it is we're completing, we need to find joy in it. It speaks to divine oversight. So I love that when it's coming down from above, that we have the divine seeing us from above, and with this divine bonfire light here. In the lower right corner, we have what is known about our situation, and we have the letter Pe. The letter Pe is the letter that represents the mouth of the divine, speaking creation into existence. So as we speak about revelation, this seems very poignant. We have this revelation of the divine speaking all of creation into existence, and then speaking Torah, which is all learning and teaching that we receive. I'm feeling my hand getting hot here above the fire, but it's a bonfire. Okay, so here's the mouth of the divine, speaking creation into existence, and it's a spiral. And I love that about Pe, is that it's a spiral that represents that ongoing unfolding of all of revelation, spiraling infinitely into our own selves and our own minds and our own bodies, down to the very cellular and atomic level, and spiraling outwards, out into the universe, to the most distant stars in the universe. The letter Pe is the number 80, which is the ultimate manifestation of the infinite, the 8 being 1 more than 7, 7 being the number of days of creation. We have the number 8 on fire here, 8 times 10. So infinity here, that's what we know about our situation, that the infinite exists in form of the divine, that the infinite is providing us revelation, and that is unfolding infinitely. It is the binary transformation of grace and ugliness. So we have this idea of beauty and that which is maybe considered less beautiful. And so as that regards speech, it's important for us to remember to speak blessings rather than curses, to remember to express our gratitude rather than just complaining all the time, because this is the time in the wilderness when the Israelites were coming out and they were running out of manna. They were running out of matzah. And so the manna came, but not before they complained bitterly. They were still eating the bread of their affliction coming out of Egypt. And now that bread had been used up, and so they complained to Moses, "You've brought us out here to the desert to starve." But of course, the divine provided manna for them in the wilderness. So that's what we know about our situation, that the infinite is here, that it is infinitely speaking creation and revelation into the world. What is unknown about our situation in the lower left corner is the letter Kuf. And the letter Kuf is the letter that represents holiness and sacredness. It is the first letter of the word Kadosh. And it is the number 100 in Gematria, so it's this ultimate manifestation of 10, which is the letter Yud, which is the first letter of the name of the divine, and 10 being 10 times 1, the Aleph, the oneness of all things. So this is a double manifestation of oneness, the holiness of the divine, the sacredness of the divine. But also it speaks to monkey. The letter Kuf begins the word Kof, which means monkey, and it has that little monkey tail on it, which tells us to remember that it's the foundation of sleep. And so for those of us who are having any issues around sleep, what's unseen is that sleep and rest is here for us. It is the letter that also begins the word Klipa, which means shards or shells, and it speaks to that shattered vessel of divinity in which all of the light was kept when the divine contracted themselves in order to make the universe. And those shards went out into the universe as little sharp pieces that maybe caused agitation in our world. And so we have this balance between the sacredness, the holiness, and those shards and shells out there in the world. And maybe we don't see them. Maybe we accidentally step on them like a Lego in the night. And when we do, we feel pain and we maybe curse, but bring ourselves back to the oneness of all and understand that I am the Lego and the Lego is also me. What's coming up from the bottom here? What is the root cause of our situation? We have the letter Dalet. And Dalet is a doorway. We have passed through a doorway to get to where we are. Some kind of rite of passage has happened. And in the case of the Israelites at this time of year, we're talking about the exit from Egypt, from Mitzrayim. that the doorway was opened by the divine. And this letter Dalet, it's the alphabets of the ancient time looked slightly different. This Dalet is very similar, if you point it this way, to a delta, and a delta, which is the Greek letter for D. And we have this idea of the Dalet and the delta representing possibly the passageway through which all humans are born, the feminine vulva. And so we have this idea of a passageway. And when we speak about Egypt in particular, and that rushing out from Egypt in a hurry and having to pass through the water in the Red Sea, and that water parting and then closing up behind, it's so like a birth. It's so reminiscent of birth. Dalet is a letter that speaks to all of those things. It's a doorway, it's a gateway, it's humility, and it's wisdom and foolishness all together in one. It speaks to the 4 seasons. It's the number 4, so it speaks to the 4 seasons, the 4 directions, the 4 elements, and the 4 letters of the name of the divine. There's so much going on here with the Dalet, and I think that's a really appropriate letter for this position of what's the core cause of our situation here is we've come through a doorway. We've come through, and we're wandering in this desert right now, and we're making our way to the revelation at Sinai in just a few weeks. In the upper left corner, we have the letter that is a challenge or a fear that's going on, and it is the letter Gimel. The letter Gimel is a foot or a camel. It is about forward movement, and that seems really appropriate. We've been walking for some time now, since Pesach, in the desert. We've run out of food. We're not sure what we're doing here. It's hard to move forward. It's hard to keep moving forward. There is this binary transformation of peace and evil that's wholeness and brokenness. We're trying to find our wholeness, but right now we're feeling still broken from our enslavement and that quick exit that we had to take there. So we have this difficulty right now about how do we move forward? How do we continue to move forward? And how do we search for justice in the world? And I say justice because it's often said that the Gimel is a foot running toward justice, and that it represents the planet Jupiter in the sky. It rules over the planet Jupiter in the sky. Each of the letters has some heavenly body with which it is affiliated. And the planet Jupiter in Hebrew is the word tzedek. That's the translation of the word Jupiter. So we're moving forward toward justice, but we can't really see it yet. And we're really frustrated and tired and exhausted and hungry. And we just don't know what we're doing. And so that's a challenge right now. How do we keep moving forward in the light of all that has happened? And our advice in the situation is the letter in the upper right corner, the letter Resh. We have the letter Resh. It is a head. It is a new beginning. It stands for the word Rosh, like Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of a new thing, the start of a new adventure. It is in the very first word in Torah, Bereshit, in the beginning. And so we have this idea of how do we start something new? This is the advice here. Start something new. It is the binary transformation of seed and barrenness. So plant a seed. Watch it grow. We're being asked to move forward, to start a new thing, to find a new beginning, to use our heads as we pull forward, and also to remain humble. There's a bowed head here. The word Rosh means somebody who is poor and has a bowed head. And it is the letter that rules over the planet Mercury in the sky. Right now we've got Mercury in retrograde where I am, and in this time of year. And so communications may be challenging right now, but we still have to communicate. We still have to move forward and communicate the way we need to in order to start what we need to start and get things moving in the right direction. So that's our advice right now, is the Resh. And so as we come to a conclusion here on this particular reading, let's pull out one more letter just to get a final bead on our situation here. Again, try not to catch everything on fire. Even though we're celebrating, it's very hot up here. Okay, one more letter that's our outcome letter, given the current circumstances. And the letter is the letter Mem. Beautiful. The letter Mem is the mother letter of water. It is a creation element, and it represents a womb. It represents gestation and a moving forward through emotions, through difficult emotions. The Mem is the number 40 in Gematria, so it speaks to the 40 weeks of gestation in the body. And it's about feeling our emotions before we move forward. It's about sitting with them, having those birth pangs as they come up, really being in the gestation period before deciding to race forward. The Mem speaks to the matriarch, the prophetess Miriam, because her name begins with Mem, but she also was the one who put Moses in the basket and set him forth on the very first journey, led him to the Pharaoh's daughter. And when they came through the Red Sea, she was the one who danced and sang with all the other women. That chime is my remembrance that Shekhinah is here right now. So that's an exclamation point on this. The Mem, the water element, is so essential right now. The spring rains, the cleansing of a mikveh. So maybe it's time to get out into the rain. It's warm enough now where I am to actually go spend some time as the rain falls from the sky. Become cleansed. Feel the gestation period, that mayim hayim, the amniotic fluid that surrounds us. And feel whatever feelings we have. Cry tears. Feel the deep grief that we might feel of letting go of the past, even though it has been enslaving us. And feel the rain. Feel the 40 days of rain of Noah. Feel those 40 years in the wilderness and the 40 days on Sinai as Torah is given. Torah is often represented as water flowing down from the heavens. So as we are in this position right now, I'm going to set it down here rather than putting it in the fire, of being watched over by the divine. We know that the infinite is here, speaking creation into existence, infinitely in, infinitely out, that what's unseen maybe is the holiness in our situation, the monkey business in our situation as well, the shards and the shells, as well as the divine sparks. We've come through this doorway with the Dalet, and we're having struggles moving forward right now. But if we start a new beginning and plant that seed, we can rest in the gestation, find our cleansing through the mikveh, and find our way home to revelation. So for those of you who have been watching, I really appreciate your attendance. If you liked this reading and my other readings, please do like and subscribe to my channel, and I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Hag Sameach and Shavua Tov. Have a wonderful Lag BaOmer. Don't forget to light something up. See you soon.